Welcome everyone, and good afternoon everyone, and welcome to today's GODAN Capacity Development Webinar. And I want to welcome you all to our Capacity Development Working Group. We will be recording this webinar and welcome all participants to share any questions that you have to the speakers via the chat window, and we will have discussions in the end. The Global Open Data for Agriculture and Nutrition supports the proactive sharing of open data to make information about agriculture and nutrition available, accessible, and usable to deal with the urgent challenge of ensuring world food security. The GODAN Capacity Development Working Group works to promote open data knowledge, increase awareness of ongoing open data initiatives, innovations, and good practices. We also promote capacity development and diversity of open data users to a more effective accessibility, use, engagement, and understanding of open data. And through our capacity development webinar series, we welcome colleagues from around the world to share their experiences. And today we are very happy to have colleagues from the International Food Policy Research Institute, the IFPRI in the USA, who are going to share their experiences in data visualization. So to give a very brief background of on the International Food Policy Research Institute, they work on providing research-based policy solutions to sustainably reduce poverty and end hunger and malnutrition in developing countries. IFPR's research produces primary data sets at the household, institutional, and country levels, and country-wide social accounting matrices, country, regional, and global spatial data sets, and value-added secondary data sets. These are all openly accessible. So in this webinar, we hope to hear from Sonhu Kim and Nilam Prasai from the IFPRI, who will share the work they have been doing and help us understand what some of the perspective on what they are doing. So I want to introduce our two speakers, Sonhu Kim. Sonhu Kim, she's a data manager in Market, Trade and Institutions Division at the IFPRI. She received a PhD in Agriculture and Biological Engineering and Computer Science minor in the University of Florida in 2005. She focuses on cloud-based data management through data value chain, applying emerging methodologies. She has strong hands-on experience on data visualization using different techniques. In addition, she has been working on semantic web technology, focusing on open data. She also developed FAO's geopolitical ontologies, IFPRI's agriculture and nutrition ontology, and IFPRI linked open data architecture. She has been implementing various websites using CMS and e-learning platforms using Moodle. She is also participating in several projects collecting socioeconomic data using mobile application and GIS. Prior to joining IFPRI, Sonhu Kim has worked as an information management specialist at the FAO. Our second speaker, Nilam Prasai, is a data curator in the Communication and Knowledge Management Division of the International Food Policy Research Institute. She is deeply engaged in managing, documenting, publishing, and disseminating research datasets. Her research lies mainly in promoting the adoption of data standards, data validation, and best practices in data governance. In her work, she experiments with different tools to give data life and tell a story while targeting different audiences in various locations. So we are very happy to have both of them. So I will now like to hand it over to Sonhu Kim and Nilam to share their experiences with us.
Thank you so much. We are very happy to introduce what I have done in the IFPRI. So we try to focus on how we make data talk to our audience. So first, Nilam will introduce what we are doing in the IFPRI level, and then I will introduce some kind of relation in project level.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Nilam, and as I would first like to thank Chipo, Chris, Suchit for allowing us to share our experience with all of you. As Suchit mentioned, I am a data curator at CKM, which is Communication and Knowledge Management Division at IFPRI. And in my day-to-day work, I'm kind of engaged in data dissemination, either by sharing via our data repository or by communicating data in various forms. For example, doing a different kind of data visualization targeting different audiences. Let me first start what IFPRI is in broad. So IFPRI is an institute which it's a research institute which was established in 1975 with a vision to reduce hunger and malnutrition. And in our day-to-day work, normally we conduct and communicate research, enhance partnership, and build our partners' capacity. And this map will give you a overall idea where we work. The green ones are the country of significant research, but recently we have started working in many other countries like Egypt. And if you look into our staff portfolio, we have currently 574 staffs, 52% are female and 48% are male. And this slide broadly shows how we address different sustainable goals directly through our work in hunger and malnutrition. And I would like to briefly touch on how our mission is related with data. So our mission is broadly to provide research-based policy solutions to end hunger and malnutrition in developing countries. To achieve this very mission, we produce data, we do a lot of household surveys in developing countries, we analyze data, we share data in different firms, and we also communicate data so that we assure our research uptake. And we adopt different methods while communicating data. So our researchers write a lot of working papers, book papers, and they publish their work in different journal articles. In communication division, we do blogs, and then we also maintain websites. We do a lot of newsletters, and we communicate data in different social medias using different approaches. So data visualization forms an important component of all these forms of data communication at IFPRI. We have data visualization included either in working papers, in blogs, websites, newsletters, and even in social media. So it's an important component to achieve IFPRI's very goal of achieving or without hunger and malnutrition. And now the main concern of this presentation, so how do we visualize our data? So it basically depends on different approaches and depending on the time, tool, and staff that we have at hand. So basically, depending on time, we use both quick and dirty, and then a formal, clean, and peer-reviewed approach of data visualization. And it also depends upon what tool we have at hand. Currently, we are using ArcGIS online and desktop, both version, and then we use Tableau, ClickSense, the regular traditional method, Excel, and we also use Giphy images and the evolving software like Atlas, Google Chart, JavaScript library, etc. And then it also depends upon the skill sets that we have. Sometimes we may have these staff who are not, who do not have all these programming skills that are required for using JavaScript library. And then for that purpose, we use user-friendly point-and-click software like Tableau, ClickSense, even Excel. And ArcGIS is also relatively user-friendly software. And it also depends upon who we are targeting with that data visuals. If we are targeting someone in developing countries, then Tableau may not be a very helpful tool because we have recently found out that it takes a long time for rendering the Tableau visualization, while ArcGIS Online may be a relevant software to target those people. And sometimes we also use different kind of tools that are coming out of the same product to target basically a different group of audiences that we want to reach out. And from this slide on, I'll be showing different examples. As other organization, IFPRI has been always engaged on producing static infographics, which is also a form of data visuals. And so we are still engaged in producing different kind of static infographics, data visuals, but we have added another dimension, which is producing more dynamic visuals, web-friendly visuals as well. And the first example is a good, I always tend to refer to this example whenever I'm doing the presentation. It was back in 2015 when we were working on Global Nutrition Report. So I was also involved in that project, and then we used to have this data annex in the Global Nutrition Report, and I was actually looking at that table, which included these two indicators, child stunting and obesity, for a while. And then we have used different color cells to indicate the country status for these two indicators. And then suddenly our graphic designer called me in, and then she asked me to produce the map for these two indicators. And then when I put those tables into the into the map, what I found is like for obesity particularly, I found all countries in red, and I could not believe my eyes. And then I call our graphic designer, did you hand me a correct set of data? I don't think I'm getting it right. I found all countries wrong in this, all country red in this visualization. Can you check into the data? And then she told me, that's what I wanted to bring in because it was not coming out from that table. So can we make it more clean? And then I shared my ARC map visual with her, and then she brought it into the Adobe Illustrator to create this beautiful infographics. And it has been very handy for us to hand this one-page flyer to different policymakers. And you know, like it depicts the overall country situations, which was not very obvious when you look into the table. And as you can see in the slide itself, it has a lot of downloads, 3,077 unique downloads, and that means it indicates a lot of uses also. So sometimes static PDF visual is also very handy. And then I want to show this example. Basically, this was actually done in ArcGIS Online. And basically, our Delhi office staff, they approach me to create this map for them, but then they just handed me the data, and they wanted me to come up with different kind of solutions. They wanted me to basically do the bar chart, but then when I started developing a bar chart, it was very clumsy, crowdy. And then I mean, like I felt like it is not communicating well what they want to communicate. And then we also wanted to show the contrast between the men and women, and I found ArcGIS Online as a very helpful tool, because one of the template allowed me to directly compare the status for the blood pressure between men and women in different states in India. And it's coming very clear in this map, because women have relatively better health in terms of blood pressure, which are reflected in this map in terms of green and blue, while you can see on the left hand side the status for different states for male health in terms of blood pressure in different states of India. And this map is very, it allows you to compare and contrast easily, and it can be printed very, you know, you get a beautiful printout out of this map, and then you can embed it in your website for sharing also. And then I want to show you this third example where we used different tools for the same output. Basically, this tool we developed for our flagship publication, which is 2016 GHI report, which is Global Hunger Index. This one on the right, you can see GHI web app. This is basically based on Java library. On the right, you can see this data story approach of data visualization. We use Tableau, again, user-friendly tool. And then when we analyze our data, we found entirely two different set of audiences that we reached out of these two visuals. The right one, which is the GHI web app, it was basically by nonprofits and government agencies. And when we asked them the reason, because they were mostly requesting the use rights for this map and then the rank, and they were asking because it is printable, and then they can basically zoom into the country that they are interested in. While on the right, it was mostly used by the journalists and data geeks. And one of the caveat of Tableau is these maps are not very print friendly. They look good when you are looking in the web, but when you try to print out, it does not come out that nice and clean. But still, we have a very good number of views for this one, which is 64,930. And I would say that we have raised quite a good number of audience from this one. And then I want to show you, this is what we have recently started practicing at in our communication division. This is basically the quick and dirty approach for the social media and the blogs. So what we have started doing is, like, we just scrap out all these kind of visuals that we use in the publications, and then we use this openly available software, which is the platform-based, web-based, which is Giphy.com. We get this screenshot of different maps or whatever tables and charts that we have, and then we kind of create the quick animation images out of that visuals, whatever we have, and for sharing in the Twitter. And what we have found is when we tweet anything with these kind of visuals, we found that these are shared more, there are more likes, and then the impressions is high for those kind of tweets versus the other one. For this one particularly, you can see that we have 15 retweets, 7 likes, and in altogether 1,475 total impressions, which is quite good for just one tweet. And then on the left, you can see this Atlas chart, which is also openly available software, and you do not really need that programming skill to come up with this one. And then we started embedding this kind of tool charts in our blog, and we have still to see whether we get more reads when we started embedding this kind of clean graphs within our blog. And then, so do we have time? Okay, so and then below, so we have a lot more examples actually to share. We have a couple of websites that are very data heavy in data visuals, for example, ASTI, Arabic Special Development, Harvest Choice, Research, again, Global Hunger Index web app. These all websites provide a lot of data-heavy tools, data-heavy visuals, and all these visuals are created by using different approaches. Some are static, some are JavaScript-based library, and then some are just created by using ArcGIS Online or Tableau. And then if you want to get more information for all these kind of websites, you can go through the link that we have in the presentation. And we can also guide you when if you have like more time at the end. But for now on, I'd like to Sonho to take over on me.
Thank you so much for the introduction to nice IFPRI work on the data visualization. So now Nilam introduced one of our project in food security portal. So I could just introduce what kind of the visualization we're using in each portal, and then give us some kind of thought about that. The first one is the food security portal. The food security portal is like a one-stop shop to see the data, tools, and blog and uses. So the one of the tool which we are using the JavaScript library called HighChart. In next few slides, I can explain what kind of tool we use and then why we're using that one, how we measure the traffic, and what is the lesson learned from that kind of experience. So first, using the HighChart. The reason why we're using the HighChart is that HighChart is very good and visualize complicated data. When you see in the right side has the data, and there's a lot of the peak, and then on the vertical level, there has the red box. So in terms of researcher, they are so interested about that kind of chart. But maybe in terms of the normal user, maybe they might get what actually the meaning of each that kind of red box and then the blue and red line. So for the researchers, we provide this kind of complete chart type because we collect data from 2002 to 2017 up to today. So the researcher can zoom in, zoom out, and then see the result of each day or an entire historical change on it. And then we also check this kind of visualization through the page view. So we have more than 7,000 page view, and then also we check there's a Google provide the Google Web the admin tool, and when you go there, I can check out how many websites the link this tool. So I found that there are 75 websites to link this kind of tool to their website. And then based on this kind of experience, what we learn is that, because as I said before, this kind of complicated visualization is good for researchers and policymakers, maybe not for the users. So that's why we create another visualization on the top of the website, because they have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 boxes, and then each box has a color on it. So when the situation of price volatility is okay, we show green color. So whenever you just see it directly, they detect, oh, everything is okay today. But if something happened or something have a high volatility, we can show the red color or orange color. So based on the color indicator, user can easily recognize what's going on today. So here's what we learned. And the second tool which I introduced is the marker GeoChart using from the Google Chart API. And we're using this chart because we collect the Google feed from the Google News every day about the food securities, and then we chop out those feeds by countries, and then we want to show what kind of country in somehow the alert situation. That's why we're using the marker geo chart and show what's going on each country. So when you see the right side, there's a red color in the India. Okay, that means maybe India have some issue. The media talking about some food security in India right now. So using this tool, we have a lot of page view, like a 76,000 more page view, and then 971 link website to link this tool. And then after that, we realized that we might go further, because they're talking about just food security, but somehow we might talking about some use by commodity type. So that's why we create another tool, which is using the high chart, which I introduced before. This chart, what we are doing is we collect every day the relevant article, and then we send that data to FOMAR. It's a media analysis tool, which they're using the simple natural language processing, and then they generate price up and down number. So at the end, as a result, we have a price up and price down number. So those number we automatically put our database, and our API provide that data into our data chart tool, and that tool automatically create the chart and then show into our website. So here is an example of the maize in Africa. Another tool which Nilam introduced before is Tableau. So as Nilam said, Tableau is kind of heavy for the developing country, because it's not the high traffic, the speed there. But somehow the Tableau is also good tool for business intelligence. There's a top #1 tool for business intelligence. So we're using a lot to show our data to our audience. So the one is that I want to emphasize one case of the major price in East Africa. So when you see here at the right side, after October 2016, maize price of Burundi and Rwanda is a little bit different. Before it was very similar, but after that point, the Burundi maize price is going up. So when you see the Burundi and then Rwanda in the map, they're very close together. So maybe you can check what's going on and the major price in different two countries. So this kind of starting point, the researcher or policymaker dig more what's going on in the field. And then, so the Tableau, there's a built-in measurement of the view. So when you see in the Tableau, and it has 33 views, but we have more than view, but they only check when user go to the Tableau website and they check the number. But we have, I'm pretty sure we have more number on it. And then, but as you say before, as the said before, is like a little bit slower because it's Tableau public. Tableau public is open to public, which means there's a lot of traffic. That's why it's very slow. But Tableau line, which is like kind of private space, is the space okay, but the limitation of that Tableau line is that only certain user can access it. And then there's another issue which we found is that if you're using the HTML accordion style, then the Tableau didn't work very well in Firefox. It works on Google Chrome and in Internet Explorer, but Firefox doesn't support it. So another tool which we use in the JavaScript application, we visualize crowd monitoring in JavaScript application. We, as you show here, what kind of things we want to say to our user is that when you see in Africa right now in right side, there's the west coast African country seems to okay in terms of crop production, but the east side of the African country seems to have some problem right now. So when you directly see what's going on in the crop production right now in that map, then there's kind of a trigger point to doing research more on that. And this is on the GitHub. So the GitHub, they introduced the traffic, and then also they also share the code with other people. That anyone interested in that kind of application, they just poke it out and then they use in their application. Based on that experience, what I learned is that how easy we get data from one organization to another organization. For example, So we got the whole data, real-time data from the GeoGLAM community. GeoGLAM community is a platform to share, disseminate the agriculture production data from satellite imageries. So what they are doing, they're using the ArcGIS server or technology. What they are doing, they share their actual raw data with us as a web map service, and then we just get the data from them, and then we using the JavaScript library and the HTML5, we create a simple application. So that's why, so it's really very quick, and then it's just the JavaScript and HTML5. So I mean, this is a very good exercise, like as the showing what is the power of open data, the why we share data together, and then why this kind of open data can make impact on the ground. So that's why I'm showing this as an example. And then the another project we're working on is AgIncentives.org. So before starting to explain what AgIncentives.org, I just gave a quick videos.
Policies influencing agricultural prices are constantly changing. These policies affect the welfare of farmers and consumers, especially the poor, and influence their decisions and livelihood. For example, in 2008 and 2009, governments in developing countries changed their trade policies to insulate their economies from fluctuations in international markets. Even though those policy changes were aimed at protecting local consumers, the same changes reduce the income of local farmers. Designing agricultural policies that are efficient and well-informed starts with governments having a better understanding of their impacts on farmers' incentives to produce. But access to information on agricultural policies has been widely scattered and inaccessible on a global scale. So policymakers have been relying on partial information rather than up-to-date data when making important policy decisions that have domestic and international long-term consequences. The Ag Incentives Consortium systematically brings together key international organizations to share and harmonize policy data. This consortium collects comparative worldwide data on agricultural policies and makes this information accessible through a website. Users can browse and analyze a consistent and up-to-date data set starting in 2005, covering 5 continents and over 30 commodities. This site enables policymakers, researchers, and other stakeholders to identify the impact of agricultural policies in specific countries or regions, as well as for specific products and value chains. Using the tools on the Ag Incentives website, you can help design better agricultural policies. Visit ag-incentives.org to learn more.
So as you see here, there's one 1 minute 56-second video introducing TV. So it's like if you write down the 1 or 2 pages of paragraph, it's very hard to understand, but just one quick videos can give like a brief idea of what is Ag Incentive. So the video is a powerful tool to introduce some kind of explain the concept and some kind of idea. So that's why we're using this introduction video to in Ag Incentive ORG website. So when you click it, it shows what the Ag Incentive is. And then we provide this video to a version, like English version and French version. I really appreciate to all kinds of IFPRI, CKM people to provide this kind of nice video for us. So good job, Nilam. And then so we have a when you measure this kind of the who see the how many see this video is, we can measure as 657 views in English version, 87 views in French version. So maybe I strongly recommend if you have any introduction, explain some concept, the video is a very good tool. And then nowadays, also the social media, they moved to from the text image, now it's moving to the video. So there are several different tools you can create the video very easily. One of the tools is My Simple Video. So they can use some simple free tool to create the 3-minute video to explain the concept. there's another visualization tool which we are using. It linked to our language, so which is mean the researchers, any data scientists, easily create the visualization using the R package. So this circularize the library provide this kind of nice graph in the right side. So it shows like how the protein trade working in different continents. So for example, in Asia, in the red color, when you see the Asia got all kind of protein from Latin America, North America, and Europe, and then Oceania, even Africa. So we can directly see what's going on in the one view. And then this embedded in PowerPoint and PDF file, so it's a little bit difficult to track down what's going on there or how we can make impact pathway. But the good thing is that the researcher who is already familiar with R, they can easily create this kind of nice visualization through this kind of package. Another project which I want to introduce is the dataafrica.io. Data Africa is open source agriculture, climate, poverty, and health visualization engine. So when you go inside, they're using the D3 Plus library. D3 Plus library is based on the JavaScript. It's extension of the D3. So we're working with MIT, the people to implement this kind of D3 Plus library. And then when you go to the website, each country has several different visualization chart. What they are doing is that each chart has their own URI, so they can easily track down who use it and how use it and where they can copy or paste it. So you can easily track down the impact. And then another thing is that this tool can easily embed into any other device, for example, website or the mobile, so they can responsive design, so you can just shrink the size and then maximize or minimize the visualization. When I'm doing a lot of visualization work, I think the Nilam also agree with me, because it's very hard to maintain existing visualization. For example, in Nilam's case, every year we have a global hunger index. Whenever new data comes, and then Nilam needs to go back to the previous visualization work and then update every single the visualization using the new data. So, and I have same issue. So in Nilam is just one per year, but in my case, I need to do every day because we collect it every day. So that's why I keep thinking of how we find a sustainable solution for this kind of data visualization, the work chain, the workflow. So that's why I would share some kind of my experience with you. So you might have the same issue, then you might ask me some more questions, or we can share each other our experience and then difficulties or advantages which you found. And I think that's a good community practice for with data visualization people. So first, I would like first thanks to Chris, because Chris introduced this kind of data value chain concept to me. So when I heard that, wow. So I think this is kind of really good example of how we introduce our data to real world. So, but Chris might not agree with this entire value chain, but we can talk more later to modify or update our value chain diagram. But data starting from the collections. We collect data every day or every year or every month from the website. Sometimes we grabbing data from the website, or sometimes we have an Excel file. Sometimes we have a database. Sometimes we have PDF file sometimes. So we can convert those things and then we collect data. And then after that, we also process data. And then we curate, like what Nilam does for IFPRI. She did like amazing job though. So she checking the quality, trust, the metadata. So and then those kinds of curation is very important to us. And then after that, we have we save data in short term or long term. For example, short term we can put on some our database, or long term we can use using some kind of external the storage such as Amazon Glazers. And then we can use the kind of different tool to preserve our data set. And then at the end we can do some data usages, for example, data visualization. So in our case, we use the Tableau line very heavily. The Tableau line, what we are doing using the Tableau line, we collect data from the website, and then we feed our data into our database. And our database has directly linked to Tableau Online, and they sync the Tableau Online together every night. And then whenever after sync, and the Tableau Online automatically regenerate, update, extract data again, update the chart again, and then refresh entire visualization. So after that, our website grab the Tableau Online data, online visualization into our website. So this kind of entire the workflow is going to be very easy. So sometimes maybe we can stop jump into some kind of data creation part, such as the checking, validate, but most of the time this whole data set is through the automatically. Another way we are doing it is that we using a lot of Java and JavaScript the routine. For example, we grab data from the different website, and then we put on our database, and our database we create our own API, and then our own API talk to our visualization tool, which we developed, and then visualization tool automatically refresh in our website. So from the data acquisition to data you see, this is a one-step go through the workflow, so no step go through until at the end. So it helps us to reduce our time and the labor, because it takes a lot of time to recreate the visualization and maintain. So maybe I hope this kind of exercise can help you guys to think about maybe revamping your side of workflow. So, and then now I kind of change my topic. So when I prepare this kind of presentation, I think, okay, so this is what we have done in IFPRI, and what's going on beyond the IFPRI world. So that's why I try to introduce some kind of new trend on the data visualization. As you see here, the Google trend, big data, as you expect, is very high. And then when you see the blue line, it goes not like a big data, but it seems to go and operate, increase more and more. So people are more thinking about data visualization, because they know the data, if you make visualization data in the right way, we make some kind of impact on the ground. So I can introduce some trend of the data visualization this year. There's a main trend, but one of the things I can focus on is greenery. So now this year, the color is the green. That's why entire slide, the color scheme in my presentation is green. That's why. And then as you see in IFPRI, our logo is green as well, right? So we follow trend. And then another trend is that virtual reality. Now people using a lot of the cardboard from the Google. They're using a lot of the virtual reality in the world, in real world. So for example, the kids they have a cardboard, the toy like you can buy from Amazon, $20, and they're using the 3D visualization on their phone, and they can play with that. So people are very used to get virtual reality or augmented reality. So that's why. Here is an example of the virtual reality in data visualization developed by Australian people. So maybe I didn't play right now because I don't have much time, but later when you share this PowerPoint, you can click it, you can see how the virtual reality can help us to visualize our data in a more effective way. And then another way, I also emphasize the business intelligence. Now is the data visualization is include to business intelligence. So we are not only show data or not only display data, but we also help the users to make some good decision. So the current way is business intelligence is going to the cloud. So now everything is going to cloud level, and then even data management inside the cloud. So there are many things going on, and then another way another things I can emphasize here is the natural language processing. So now people maybe before we just click a word or click the button, now people try to engage with more visualization with natural language. So they ask questions, and then they want to get the data with the visualization. And then my last slide, this is showing all the world in the earth is very small, with spare 860 miles. So compare entire Earth. This is fresh water. The reason I'm showing this one is that now the data visualization needs to give us some emotional feeling to the people, which means that we need to make some visualization which people can remember. So this is kind of my last slide to give us some kind of the future step to go. And thank you so much. Thank you so much for being with us. And then I also thanks to the all people, IFPRI KM, and then Food Security Portal team, Geogram team, Ag Incentive team, and then Data Africa team. Thank you so much. So if you have any question, we are happy to answer to your question.
Thank you very much, Sun Ho, and it's great. Thank you for sharing your experiences at your institute with all of us. So I was very, very impressed by some of the, especially the visualization you showed on the using R, the visualization. That was fantastic. And also one of the projects you mentioned was on the mobile, the open source tool. So is that a project ongoing one, or is it available to? It's an open source project, right? So if anybody can download it and make use of it.
Could you what kind of project you are mentioned? The mobile project?
The project on the Africa nutrition. You said there was a mobile app, open source app developed for.
Okay. It's not app, but it is the responsive design. So when you access through the mobile, you can see the right format of mobile display.
Oh, I see. All right. Oh, thanks.
Yeah, if you go to dataafrica.io, you can see entire website. You can access through your mobile phone.
Right, right. Oh, thank you very much. So there are some questions coming in, so I will. Yep, go on.
Yeah, so the one which you're using the D3 Plus is open source. You can go Google it, D3 Plus library, and you can get the code.
Yes, yes, thank you. That's very useful information, and it's just really quite powerful visualization as well you showed for D3. So that was all developed by your colleagues in-house, or?
No, actually we working with MIT.
Oh, MIT. Okay, so they were developing. That's quite impressive. Yeah. Visualization that the D3 one you showed. So that is good to know. Okay, so, and all this information is available in a website as well, right?
Yes.
Okay, good. So there are some questions coming in, so I will forward it with some of the questions. So Chris Addison is asking one question on, you store a lot of open data. How do you make this available for others to make visualizations and encourage them to do so?
Basically the ability to understand data, that is the most important skill I would think that you will need basically to start with data visualization. But then there are a couple of tools that you can play right away without having any programming skills. But then if you have programming skills, it will augment to it now. So like for the people without having any programming skills, you have to rely on whatever the software has to offer. You cannot really play with your own idea to create new kind of visualization, right? But then if you have added programming skill, for example, JavaScript, or the ability to use this D3 library or even R package, it can help you to come up with your own visualization that you can tailor with different style approaches and different audiences. But you don't have to be really disappointed when you do not have any programming skills. You can use any hands-on tool that are available out in the market or in the openly available software. For example, a lot of versions are available for Tableau. Some are openly available, and there are some which are subscription-based. ClickSense, ArcGIS Online. These are also very friendly tools to come up with the map. If you have to use the programming approach, then the project will take some time to come out in the market, right? But then these tools probably will help you to get your product out of the door within a week or so once you have the good understanding of data. So it just doesn't have to be one person. You can work with a team to come up with a nice visualization.
And then I also added one comment on it. So actually, if you using the data as open data, I think the Chris is right, because we need to open the data to the the format which you usually like it. So we have in IFPRI with open data policy, so we provide like a Dataverse in which you can download any data there, or has and then also we have a link open data. If somebody is familiar with link open data, we had link open data as well, and if the maintain it. So whenever any kind of format you need, you can provide it. And also, as I said before, if we want to have like a GIS layer, we have the web map service as well. So any format, if we want to, we can happy to provide it.
Thank you.
Yeah, and then so one of the thing that we have started recently, I mean not recently, since we started adding our data in the Dataverse, which is a data repository. The beauty of data repository is like whatever format the data that have in. For example, any statistical formats like .dta, .sps, these are all the data sets that are produced from the statistical software, right? But then when you upload in the Dataverse, it will ingest it, and then it will give you a tabular format of data, which means that you can actually download that tabular format of data and can use in any software that is available out there. So tabular from basically CSV file, like .tab file, it can be ingested in most of the software currently out in the market. So there are a couple of things that we can do in a way, so-called best practices. But then the best thing to have for data visualization is the good understanding of the data. Yep.
So another questions coming in. So there are again questions on any free tools to recommend for videography from some of the colleagues.
I'm not a videographer, but I also create a video. So based on my very basic experience, there are some video tool called Kamsaja. But you need to pay that, you need to buy it. But they have some 30 days free version, you can use it. And then in online, if you go to online, and then you can find a lot of online video tool. For example, if I explain to you my simple video, I not double check to and send the link to in the chat window later. What that tool is that whenever you create when you create the video, we have some problem because at the first time you don't know how to create. The tool, what they can do is they provide is that they have the 1, 2, 3 step. The first step you can create the script. And then second step, they read the script, and then machine learning backend, they provide like a proper the clip audio. They provide the proper animated clip, and then based on that, you can rearrange or resize it, and then when you click the button, they generate the video automatically based on your script and your clip. So it's really quick tool to generating the video without any expertise.
Thank you, sir.
We have our own. So one thing is that IFPRI has its own videographer and then infographic people, so they might have a better idea how to generate it. But yeah, maybe Nila, maybe you might introduce them to.
Yeah, so one quick thing is like for animated images, I use Giphy.com. It's open source software. It will give you it will give you very basic, simple kind of video, animated images basically that I tend to use for my Twitter account basically.
Good. That is very useful information.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks. Because one of the things, especially we have a lot of interest in. Many of our colleagues are from developing countries, so the tools, if you can provide them free and open tools, it will be really helpful. So if you have any pointers on any freely available tools, please send it to our mailing list as well. So then colleagues can download it and try it as well. So for example, for the GIS from my area, there is a lot of free and open tools like QGIS. So you can, you can, if anybody is interested for using the GIS tools in a powerful visualizations, but all using free and open tools, they can also use it. So there are some other questions coming in on in what formats are data required to be uploaded into those platforms IFPRI used for data visualization.
So it depends upon the tools that we are using, right? Most of the time, I tend to use the Excel file and text file, but Sono use.
We normally yeah, because we normally using the API directly.
Right.
So we direct link to database. Sometimes our database is cloud, so we use the RDS, Amazon RDS, and then also we use the Google Analytics a lot directly to the from the Google Analytics API. So there are so many different ways to use
it depends. It entirely depends upon the tool that you are using.
Yeah. Okay. So there's another question from Bull Francis, who is asking, I think it is based on one of your visuals you showed, on overweight and obesity. It shows red throughout Africa. Does that mean Africa is suffering from obesity and overweight?
Yeah, isn't it weird? Yes, it is. So basically, we tend to think that whenever there is problem of stunting and malnutrition, there is no overweight and obesity problem, right? But that is totally incorrect. Yes. So like so in urban areas, and then when there is more income flow, then in those areas we do have this overweight and obesity problem, and that's what we are trying to show, that so overweight and obesity is more persistent than undernutrition right now in the world.
Any other questions? If you have questions, please do send it over. And I have just one comment really, because I was going through your website and I saw there is information on data tones that you are doing. So what exactly is it like? Is it open to all, or do you organize these data tones to bring together people to solve different problems? So how does that work?
So like it was actually our second experience organizing Datathon. The first was in the context of Global Nutrition Report that we launched probably in 2016, where we did this Datathon and we came up with a product. Actually, we came up with this nice data visualization. We worked with the people who came in, and then who were really committed to come up with something. So that was actually back in 2016, I think. Yeah. So that was first event that we organized, and it was very successful. And then we organized one this year. So we organized this 1 year, and actually normally the way that we do is basically we try to get in people as much as we can, and then we'll expose what we have in terms of the data sets, and then our skill sets. We offer them the background of the research questions that we wanted to ask them, and we will also introduce them with a couple of tools that they can interact with in order to come up with some kind of useful data visualizations or whatever product that they can come up with.
Right.
So that was the first part. But then if the group shows interest, then we can normally work with them on long-term basis and we come up with the real product. So it depends upon the group that we get. And actually, I wasn't involved directly on that one, but I do believe that we have a couple of people who are interested in working in long term for that particular project, for the research question that we are trying to get the answer on that data.
Interesting. Thanks. Is there any other questions from the participants? We are just trying to. Oh, there's one question. Oh, that maybe you have already answered. What skill set does from Bridget Nayara? So, is there any specific skill sets anyone needs for good data visualization? Do you have to be a data scientist?
I mean, so I think I probably addressed that one before. Yeah. Again, I insist on the ability to understand data sets. That's what basically we need. Like once you put the data in some form of graph, you need to understand what it is actually trying to tell. So that probably will be added on by having a good statistical knowledge, like at least having this ability to generate, like mean, average, median, all those kind of statistical analysis, at least at an exploratory level. That will definitely help. And then so basically trying to get the sense, an intuition about the data, ability to storytell. What is the, I mean, like you can get any kind of visualization, but how about this ability to connect one visual to another, one story to another? So, you need to be more of a storyteller. That's how I think we can communicate data to lay people. because all these nice graphical, when I think about data visualization, we can create beautiful data visualization that is very pleasing to your eyes when you look at it. But so what? You cannot infer any information from that visual. So I would think like keep it as simple as possible and always target to the audiences that you are trying to get to, and then try to come up with a story, because the story tends to stick with you. I still remember all those stories that my grandmother used to tell me during the bedtime. So story tends to stick with you. So I mean, like having statistical skills, having this programming skills, these are all the beautiful add-on. But I would think like having this ability to tell a story to bring the data into a story form, that is most critical, and I think that is missing currently.
So in my side, I'm kind of technical person. So in terms of the data visualization, basically JavaScript is basic, and the HTML. And then if you, as Nila mentioned, statistical skill, how to process data. And then on top of that, if it's possible, there's machine learning, and then it would be great. And then also you want to know how to use the cloud-based system service, that would be great. Yeah, this is what I think is useful to know. Yeah.
Okay, so I think we have one last question because we are nearing our 1 hour time. So it's from Kiringai Kamau on how can we interrogate these tools after this seminar. So will you be sending? So can you answer that question, please?
Is this Tableau?
So I think there's a very good question. So what I suggest to CTA is that, because when Nilam and I provide this kind of seminar, we talk about this issue before, because actually today we're just showing what we have. But if you agree with that, we have another seminar series saying that Tableau. So we can give like a basic idea how to use Tableau, and there's some Tableau. When you're talking about ArcGIS, we can provide like how to use ArcGIS. And then if it's talking about like other tools, for example JavaScript, you can give us some kind of basic skill of how to use the JavaScript library with HTML. So if you guys agree with that, you can have another seminar series to provide how to use that, like the methodology, how to use the make a visualization. So how about Chris and then the CTA people, if you guys think it's a good idea.
Yeah, we will discuss this. Chris, go on, Chris.
Yeah, what I was going to say is we have plans for a repository of resources supporting the capacity development working group, and we'll be offering those later on, but we'll put a short list on the discussion list of those things that were most relevant for this webinar. And don't forget, there'll be a recording of this webinar, so you can also go back through that.
So even though...
Right, sorry, Sujit, I just want to add one point here. For the question from the user about the Tableau, where they can get access to, so I would basically recommend just search Tableau on Google, and it will take you to the link, and there is one trial version that you can use for like 14 days. And then from the Tableau site itself, there are a couple of links that will help you to get started. So, I mean, if you have any problem doing that, you can reach out to us and we'll help you.
Thanks. That is very useful. But one of the things, especially, we are a global community. Most of our colleagues are in developing countries. One of the main things we appreciate is, if you can send links to free and open tools, because they might not have the resources to, after 14 days, what happens, so it's very difficult for them to, even if it is like a, 100 pounds or something, it is very difficult for colleagues in developing countries to buy expensive, for example, ArcGIS and things like that. So if you have examples of free and open tools, it will be really helpful. Just send it to us. We'll be more than happy, because that will make sure they can, not only they can, learn it, but they can use it as well.
Definitely. So for the Tableau, there is also open version available. The one that I was actually talking earlier was basically the professional version, but there is open versions of Tableau also. that you can use.
Yeah, or even for example, one of the things will be like alternatively free and
There
open.
are others also.
Oh, we'll have to close. Yeah, so with our time is now.
Yes, free and open also.
Yeah, we'll be. So thanks again, our colleagues at IFPRI for your excellent sharing your experiences. Thanks for all our participants, and I want to specifically thank CTA, Chris and Chipo, who make this possible and did a lot of work behind the scenes to have this webinar series running. So we are very grateful for the help. We hope to see you all in our next webinar. We will be announcing it through our mailing list. So please join the mailing list. So if you have any other questions, feel free to put those questions in the mailing list, and we are happy to continue those discussions. So I want to thank again the presenters and the CTA for making this possible, and we look forward to see you in our next webinar. Thank you all. Bye for now.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.